What's going on, Eagles Nation? Welcome back to the channel. If you love staying locked in on everything happening with the Philadelphia Eagles, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Today we're diving into a story that has quietly picked up a lot of attention over the past few days. Nick Sirianni has finally addressed the future of Dallas Goedert, and his message was clear, direct, and impossible to ignore. There has been growing speculation around Dallas Goedert's role with the team. Whenever a player of his caliber is dealing with injuries, contract questions, or shifting offensive roles, the rumors start flying. Some fans have wondered whether the Eagles might eventually look at restructuring his deal, reducing his role, or even considering long-term alternatives at tight end. But when Nick Sirianni stepped to the podium and was asked directly about Goedert, he didn't dodge the question. Instead, he made it very clear how he views one of his most reliable offensive weapons. Sirianni emphasized that Dallas Goedert remains a huge part of what the Eagles do offensively. He spoke about his versatility, his toughness, and his leadership in the locker room. That's not coach speak. That's a head coach sending a message not just to reporters, but to the entire locker room and fanbase. When a coach goes out of his way to highlight a player's importance, especially in the middle of outside speculation, it usually means the organization still sees that player as a key piece. Goedert has consistently been one of the most dependable tight ends in the league when healthy. His ability to line up in multiple spots, block in the run game, and create mismatches in the passing attack gives the Eagles flexibility. He's not just a safety valve for the quarterback. He's someone defenses have to account for. Sirianni pointed out that the offense functions differently when Goedert is on the field because of how much attention he commands in the middle of the defense. It's also important to remember the chemistry he has built over time with quarterback Jalen Hurts. That connection doesn't just develop overnight. It's built through reps, trust, and shared experiences in big moments. In key games over the past few seasons, Goedert has delivered crucial catches, moved the chains, and absorbed contact to keep drives alive. Sirianni made sure to mention that those moments matter. Production in high-pressure situations matters. And from his perspective, Goedert has consistently answered the call. There's also the financial side of things that fans often debate. The NFL is a business, and roster decisions are never purely emotional. But Sirianni's comments suggested that from a football standpoint, there's no doubt about Goedert's value. When asked about long-term outlook and roster construction, he kept the focus on what Goedert brings right now and how much confidence the staff has in him. That kind of response usually signals stability rather than uncertainty. Another layer to this story is leadership. Inside that locker room, Goedert isn't just another veteran. He's someone younger players look up to. Sirianni talked about his professionalism and the way he prepares each week. That sends a message to the entire team that the standard remains high. When a coach publicly praises a player's preparation habits, it reinforces accountability across the roster. Of course, no discussion about Goedert's future would be complete without acknowledging the injury concerns that have popped up in recent seasons. Availability is part of the equation in the NFL. Sirianni didn't ignore that reality, but he framed it in terms of resilience. He spoke about Goedert's work ethic in rehab and his determined half-to-shade coverage. That creates opportunities on the outside for wide receivers and opens up space in the run game. Sirianni alluded to that chess match element, explaining how certain players impact defensive alignments even when they're not the primary target. Another key point from Sirianni's remarks was trust. Trust between coaching staff and player is everything in this league. If a coach feels uncertain about a player's future, you can usually sense it in how they respond publicly. That wasn't the case here. Sirianni spoke with conviction. He talked about continued collaboration, growth, and maximizing strengths. That doesn't sound like someone planning to phase a player out. At the same time, Sirianni stayed realistic about competition. He made it clear that every player is expected to compete and improve, including established veterans. That message is consistent with the culture he's tried to build. Nothing is handed out. Roles are earned and maintained through performance. But there's a difference between healthy competition and signaling that someone is on the chopping block. His comments leaned heavily toward the former. For Goddard himself, this kind of public support can be powerful. Players notice when their head coach stands behind them. It builds confidence. It reinforces commitment. And in a league where narratives can spiral quickly, having the coach publicly clarify your importance stabilizes things. Looking ahead, the Eagles' offensive success will depend on balance. Having a tight end who can anchor that balance is critical. Whether it's third down conversions, red zone efficiency, or controlling tempo late in games, Goedert'S role fits into all of those scenarios. Sirianni understands that removing a steady presence can ripple through the entire structure of an offense. So what does this all mean for the future? Based on Sirianni's words, the expectation is that Dallas Goedert remains a central figure in the offense moving forward. There was no hint of distancing. No suggestion of decline in confidence. Instead, there was emphasis on value, leadership, and impact. In the NFL, actions will always speak louder than words. Contracts, snap counts, and play design ultimately tell the story. But when a head coach sends a strong, direct message like this, it usually reflects alignment between coaching staff and front office. Right now, that alignment appears solid when it comes to Goedert. For Eagles fans, the takeaway should be reassurance. The team isn't operating in panic mode. They aren't signaling a sudden shift away from one of their proven playmakers. Instead, they're reinforcing stability at a key position. As the season progresses, performance will continue to shape the narrative. That's the nature of professional football. But as of now, Sirianni's stance is clear. Dallas Goedert is an important piece of what the Philadelphia Eagles are building and striving to accomplish. We'll continue monitoring every development, every quote, and every on-field performance. If anything changes, you know we'll break it down right here with honest analysis and no misleading hype. Make sure you stay tuned, and let me know in the comments how you feel about Sirianni's message and what you expect from Goedert this season. Eagles Nation always has something to say, and I want to hear it. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Birds!